Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Full Force News Burst Live, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. Yes, I'm rocking the hat. Of course, I am. Had to happen, didn't it? Lots going on today. So much happened today in the world of G.I. Joe and its loosely affiliated other connected brands. Excuse me. I should have a drink, really, shouldn't I? Cheers. Just got jasmine tea on the go today. Hope everyone's doing well in the chat. Lots of you in there already. It's the first news burst back in a long time as well. So this is we did obviously the first weekly back on the weekend, and now I am back with news burst. And I tell you what, there's a lot to get stuck into, and we'll get stuck into it. We've got HIYA Toys preview in news. We've got loyal subjects go crazy crackers and take on the M.A.S.K license, as well as many others, including Gem, which I may or may not be interested. I am interested in, and lots of other things involved in that. On top of that, we have HasLab updates. Again, that have come out of just very recently. There's tons of. They've just posted another video. It's like, oh, we're getting close to the end. Let's do all of the promotion now. And an image of the size comparison of the Rattler and other vehicles in the line. I can't believe how big it looks next to the Dragonfly. The Dragonfly's mental long. So I don't even know what we'll get to that anyway in a little while. We've also got, on top of that, PulseCon news. You know, a whole like a bevy of information to get stuck into from PulseCon, and more leaked images to get stuck into as well. Yeah, rest in peace, James L. Jones, indeed. Jeremy Kimblin, yeah, I just saw that news as I went live. Very sad indeed. Yeah, it's actually not, well, it's not the NFTs now, Scott, is it? It's HIYA actual physical product, which is quite exciting. Chris is going to stay until midnight now to see what the Rattler does. I'm not going to be doing that. But I don't know, I say that, but then it goes on and on and on, doesn't it? Anyway, let's get stuck into the news then, guys. We'll start with, I think we're starting with HIYA. I can't remember. But anyway, let's do it. I don't know what we're starting with. That would be preparation, which I'm just, you know, completely not. I don't do that kind of stuff. I just wing it, clearly. Anyway, yes. So we'll start then with the HIYA Toys preview news. Now, it was quite telling, wasn't it? For a while, we were like, okay, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing any other figures for a very long time with HIYA Toys. But they do these little preview things where they'll take a few pictures of the figure out of package just before it kind of starts, you know, making the rounds or leaves the factory or what have you. And we had one for Cobra Commander very recently, and lo and behold, he's in people's hands now, somewhat. Now, Beach Head was the next one up, and he has got a preview figure, basically production figure with the card in the background. You can just about make out that it's that classified artwork of Beach Head that they use on the card. And yeah, figures looking pretty cool. I will say, I think the kind of the grey that they've added to it does stand out a lot more than I thought it would. I thought they were going to go for a more subtle sort of deco there, but it kind of sticks out a little bit, doesn't it? Almost like very, the actual figure looks very block colored, like it's just like all green there, all grey there, all brown there, all black. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not kind of subtle where they've kind of done like nice kind of deco hits and stuff. I feel like this one looks very, I don't know, almost like kind of like a little bit cheaper in quality. I know it probably won't be. It might just be the images, but there is an element on this one where all the colors look a little bit like kids' toy. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that aside, I do really like this Beachhead design. I was a big fan of it for the classified series. They obviously went with it for the HIYA Toys version, and the fact that it's going to be coming now is an indication that we might get an absolute torrential downpour of HIYA figures in the next few months. The fact that we had Cobra Commander very recently and, you know, now being sent out, Beachhead now, I could see this being a weekly thing. I could see this being a weekly thing. I could see every week a new pre-order getting the preview treatment and, you know, kind of going out shortly afterwards. So I do feel like they're kind of, you know, they've got a lot of catching up to do. Don't get me wrong. Was it 22 pre-orders in total or 22 figures in total? I think I might be counting Destro, the new one, the kind of the one that hasn't technically been officially revealed yet, but the one that was leaked, the Profit Director version. I think it's 22 in total. I could be wrong. And that, what I mean is figures and pre-orders and exclusives. So it's a lot. But that said, I do have a feeling we're going to start seeing a lot of these being churned out over the next few weeks. What do you guys think? Let's have a look in the comments to see what you think about Beachhead. HIYA is boring, says Venom. Sorry. That head does not look right, says Windblade. Hello as well. Yeah, the head looks, yeah, I must admit, they're hit and miss, aren't they, with the heads? I feel like they've got a lot of work to do with Flint. And if that comes out looking exactly like the figure we've seen, I'm going to be disappointed with Flint, I think. But yeah, the Beachhead one, it almost looks very anime-like, doesn't it? It kind of leans a little bit more anime than it does, you know, what you'd expect with a G.I. Joe figure. Preparation A through G failed. It's time for Chris to get on with Preparation H. Yes, Scott. It feels good on the whole. I don't like the colors, but the design is great, says Jeremy. Yeah, kind of same vibe with that. I feel like the deco just isn't doing it for me. And I don't know, is it just because everything is very, very, not obvious, but like clean and a little bit like, I think it's the quality, like that gray does not look like quality plastic on the forearm, whereas the green does. And the same quality plastic. I just feel like, I don't know. Simplistic, that's right, Wilfredo. It's too simplistic in terms of its deco application, which is interesting because the HIYA Toys product images showed very high level, high-end deco applications with, you know, washes and sprays and all sorts of different things in there as well. So yeah, I have to agree with that. Eyes look weird. Yes, they do a little bit. It will have to be weekly for them to catch up. It will, Scott. It will. Hey, Chris. Nice to see you getting back in the swing. Always a pleasure to watch the full force. Thank you, Chamberlain. Glad to have you back in the comments as well. Classified did it better, says Venom. I have to agree in this sense. I feel like the Classified figure is phenomenal. A really cool update to Beachhead. I love the fact we've got a retro Beachhead as well. I feel like that was always in my head what they should have been doing as a line, was to have like multiple, basically have a line that is dealing with the fans that want all the retro stuff, and a line that's dealing with more updated, more experimental designs. And it's kind of that way now, but still not exactly. Jello Ben says, unless I can go out and order more than just one figure for delivery this year, then this line is dead to me. Yeah, I know what you mean. The eyes are off from what they showed in the original pic, says Brad. Yeah, you're not the only one to mention that, Brad. I think we all kind of see that a little bit. There's definitely an anime vibe to the figure, which is weird. Yes, Jeremy, absolutely, yeah, anime feeling. Figure looks bad. Sorry, says Soda Commander. You don't have to be sorry, Soda. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. I didn't make it. Venom says, lol, sorry, Chris. I'm just so excited for the classified segment. We'll get there. We'll get there. Fire in the hole. Hello, and Bryce. Not impressed at all. Sorry, says Christoph Black. Rachel says, HIYA still has a problem with head sculpts. That beret reminds me of the Jack Nicholson Joker. I have to agree with all of those statements, honestly. I like the figure. I think the deco applications are what's the main issue here. But that said, preview Beachhead means we're going to be seeing it very soon in hand, I would imagine. Or some people will, depending on who you bought it from and when. Anyway. Cheers. I'll drink that before it's cold now, but I'll get it down me now. Kitty said. Next up then. And I wanted to talk about this early on. I wanted to get this not out of the way, but I wanted to talk about this. I think there's going to be a lot to get into here. Now, excuse me, I've got such a sore throat today. Now, the reason I'm sounding a little bit funny is because I had the old, vaccinations yesterday, and it hit me like a ton of bricks overnight. I don't, a lot of people feel that kind of like soreness in the arm and they can't lift their arm. I don't have that, and I don't have any pain or bruising or anything around there. But I was hit like a blooming freight train. Struggled all night last night, so I'm knackered, and then got up this morning and was like, how am I going to get through today? Had a shower. What am I talking about that for? It's irrelevant. But anyway, my voice is scratchy, so I apologize. But we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. And we're going to talk M.A.S.K. Now, link in the description if you want to read the article from the toy book. But in the LA Fall Toy Previews, we've got a bit of information. As the toy book's 40th anniversary rolls on, another batch of classic brands featured in the pages of its earliest issues are ready for a reboot. Following the successful relaunches of Rainbow Bright and Strawberry Shortcake, the loyal subjects inked a deal with Hasbro to give the same treatment to a host of legacy brands, including My Buddy, Gem. I almost read that as My Buddy Gem, which honestly, I feel at this point in my life, Gem is my buddy. My Pet Monster, Popples, Rom the Space Knight, which is another one that I don't think people have completely overlooked and haven't realized that they're also doing. And the fact that Rom the Space Knight was also in the connected universe, the IDW Connect combined universe with G.I. Joe, I feel, and obviously the connection with Action Man, Rom as well, just things like that, make me I want to see Rom stuff as well. And I was really excited when they did the 4-inch Rom figure. I thought that was phenomenal. I loved that. But yeah, so it's, I think some people are missing that. But of course, the oft requested M.A.S.K. And one of the big kind of quotes from Jonathan Cathay, founder and CEO at the Loyal Subjects, was the following. M.A.S.K. has all the crazy features, vehicles, small figures with removable helmets, closed box packaging with that killer logo splash, artwork and product shots, all coming back. They're in the same scale and we're serving it hot and fresh, like 85 never left. Hot and fresh, 80. It's like a rap he just did then. Anyway, so yes, that's the CEO of the Loyal Subjects, keeping it gangster. With terms like killer and shots. And and hot and fresh, of course. Now, for those that aren't aware, the Loyal Subjects is a toy company. They've done G.I. Joe in the past, by the way. We've had Loyal Subjects G.I. Joe figures. James says, my buddy Gem sounds like you're friend zoning her. I would never friend zone Gem. Gem is, I love Gem. Gem's amazing. One of my favorite things when I was a kid. And I never had it. Obviously, I never had any figures because it was like, it was social suicide. But I remember going around a friend's house when I was, this was a long time ago. This would have been around about the time that Gem was out, I think, like literally just come out. And I was in infant school, and I think it was infant school. Yeah, it was infant school. Man, it was years ago, so long ago. I can't remember how old I was, but I was very, very little. And it was up to myself and a friend of mine called Sue to basically plan prom for infant school. What's really funny about that is that the only reason we even knew about prom was because of all the TV shows and stuff, probably Saved by the Bell or some crap like that. But like that was the, from TV and movies and stuff. We didn't really know what it was. And we're like tiny kids planning basically just a party at school is effectively what we were doing. Anyway, I had to go around a house And I didn't realize this until I got there, but Sue was effectively swimming in it, like rich, basically. And her brother was older than her, and he wasn't in the house at the time. And this will make you laugh, but we were we were in his bedroom for whatever reason, and she pulled the one of his dresser drawers open, and in there, probably amongst other things that I didn't get to see, was Copperhead. And I think it was Copperhead from the Palatoy release of Copperhead and the Water Moccasin, because it's a different shade of green on the figure than the one I have, which was from the International Heroes wave in like '87. Anyway, it was pre '87. Well, it must have been it must have been around. It must have been about '87ish then. Anyway, by the by, so she gave me the figure. She says, "Oh, he won't mind." I bet he did mind, but I ended up with 2 Copperhead figures. By the by, she also had an incredible Barbie, She-Ra, and Gem collection. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and I used to love the Gem cartoon so much. So anyway, I got that out of the way. You can all poke fun in the comments. Lots of comments here. Sorry, I've missed loads. My apologies. Gentleman Wake, talking about HIYA, says this and Cobra Commander has made me get all of the HIYA figs except for Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow too expensive. Yeah, they are a bit now, aren't they? Harder to get now. Airborne Customs, hello Darren. Not a fan of the crappy beret design. Also, I lost interest in this line since they aren't sold in the US. Talking about HIYA again. Scott says Popples ? Yes, indeed, Popples in there as well. Jedi Ben says, do we get a Gem Bigfoot Saturday morning cartoon series? Jedi Ben, I loved on the VHS tapes when you would get like they had an episode, I think, of Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines on like a whole episode tagged on the end of one of my VHS tapes. And they always played the trailer for it as well, Gem and Bigfoot on my VHS cassettes. And so cool. That Bigfoot show is only like a few small episodes put together, and that's the only thing they ever did with it, right? I want to say. But Gem was great. I've watched that recently. I put it on the other day on Tubi, I think it was, and watched it. M.A.S.K is pretty expensive to collect, so re-releases could be cool, says Pass. Well, we'll talk about that now, actually, Pass, because let's focus on M.A.S.K, Chris. Focus on M.A.S.K. A line I was absolutely devoted to as a child. I had a lot of it. I have a pretty extensive collection still. I have is it complete now? I think it is a complete boxed collection, which is pretty impressive. I've got a picture of it as well, and I always upset people when I show it off because it's amazing. It's like all of the boxes together, stacked up on each other, and it just looks so phenomenal. So yeah, I've got a massive M.A.S.K collection at home, including Boulder Hill, which is one of my favorite playsets of all time. Rhino, Switchblade, Thunderhawk, like you name it. Friggin' Firefly. I can't think of any at the top of my head. Hurricane. Ali Bombay. What did Ali Bombay ride? It was that little bike thing with the wheels popped out. I've forgotten now. I've also forgotten the F1 style car. I really like that as well, and I completely forgot what it was. Anyway, love M.A.S.K, obviously. I know all the names. Yeah, this is going to be one of those things where they've mentioned that it's literally like hot and fresh, like 85 never left, right? And same scale, insinuates that they're going to be doing some sort of like reissue-esque sort of vibe, right? So I wonder if we'll get stuff like figures and characters. Like Gloria Baker kind of got a little bit screwed over with Shark, didn't she? Like we kind of did get it eventually, didn't we? But it took a while to get right. And there's something not quite right about Shark and Gloria Baker, I want to say. Either way, I think there's some absolute opportunities to do some really cool stuff here. I've missed loads of comments. Bullet was Ali Bombay's motorcycle. Thank you, La. Barbie annihilated Gem at the toy aisles. I don't think Hasbro is looking for that rematch. No, probably not. Can I say aluminium? Aluminium. Von. Yeah. Again, you always make me do that. And I always do it. I don't think it'll only be reissues. I think they'll probably do some unproduced stuff, Suka. That's what I was kind of getting at. I was kind of feeling like it'll be a mixture of things. Do you know what I mean? Like it'll be some reissue sort of stuff with the added bonus of maybe some new things trickled in there. I'm going to say it. Some of the characterization's a little bit stereotypical and might be, I don't know, a little bit problematic. I don't know how you feel about that, but there might be some elements of those kind of things, like, like their kind of Native American or Indigenous American sort of stereotype kind of scenario going on there. Like there's a lot of heavy stereotypes going on in there. But that said, Chris, did I see Gem, Bigfoot, Robotics, and Inhumanoids all together as a kid? They came on in a block together in my region. I would get videotapes called the Action Adventure Collection, and they would often have Robotics, Inhumanoids, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and they'd mix it up. Cops was another one, and they'd mix them up, and you'd have like a bunch of different kind of random episodes on one VHS tape. So that's how I got into Inhumanoids, and it's how I got into Robotics. Gem was just on TV. Like it was on like I remember it being early in the morning when I was a kid, as well in the UK. But anyway, if we can get Spirit, we can get those characters back. Totally, Jeremy. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying they might have to change some things. Is what I was about to get at, and then I got on a little bit of a tangent. But yes, I feel like there might be some elements they might want to iron out there, basically. But yes, Bruce Sato was pretty cool, and again, stereotyped crap. But then again, he's still a perfectly good, awesome character without really much to be changed from a toy perspective. It's not like he's got I don't know. I'm not going to say anything stereotypical and cancellation worthy, but you know what I'm saying. It's okay when you're talking about action figures and toys, for the most part, because you're not seeing the characterization being utilized, but in some cases they might have to kind of change some aspects. Scale for M.A.S.K is 124, isn't it? WJ, I want to say. Am I right there, guys? Is it 124? So yeah, because 112 would be 6-inch, 118 so you're going up in scale, but you're going down in inches, Kitty said. So 112 would be 6, and they're like 3 inches, so that would make sense. 124 would be the mathematical scale equivalent, I believe. I genuinely hope if they get this right with M.A.S.K, I want them to do Dino Riders, and I know they don't have that because that would be with, who owns that now? It was Tyco, wasn't it? So whoever owns that now, might be Mattel, actually, right? Am I right? I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. But I'd love them to do something like Dino Riders because I love those figures so much. Anyway, yeah, I think these are going to be 124, and we're going to get some pretty awesome stuff with these guys. I am going to be watching this very, very closely. I'm excited. In the world of 3D printing, there's very little M.A.S.K stuff, so they could crush it in sales to feed the void. Possibly. How cool would it be to get some added accessories like some Rotex? Yes, Suka, the Rotex would be really cool. They're little robots that chewed all of the things down. It was them, wasn't it? The Rotex. M.A.S.K vehicles were 124 scale model kits re-engineered, but the figures were slightly bigger because they gutted the insides for the gimmicks. M.A.S.K figures won't fit into 124 die-cast cars. Gotcha, La. Thanks. That's a lot more extra information, but yeah, that's great. I'm kind of talking more on the scale of the figures. So do we know what the actual figure scale is? It's close to we'll just say close to 124. 123, 125, 123.67. did you guys know the voice of Jem, who is Samantha Newark, was only 12 at that time? She did a great job sounding like an adult. It's amazing, isn't it? Samantha Newark's really cool. I've managed to meet her at a con before and told her how big I was a big fan. And she just was like, brilliant. I believe Tycho is Mattel now. That makes sense. That makes sense. So they're probably not going to be able to do, Dino Riders in that case. But anywho, where's Jason the World Warriors New York Night 1974? Indeed. Another absolute man. That is an absolute theme tune, isn't it? Oh, the power that comes from deep inside of you. Every day we're reaching for the light. What an absolute banger of a friggin' theme tune. Jason the World Warriors is. Wheel Warriors. Anyway, I hope someone comes out with larger scale Z-bots if we are talking wish list. Well, we're not now, are we? But you've already done it now, Pass. It's all going to be wish list stuff now. Everyone's just going to be saying in the comments. Lars says M.A.S.K figures are probably 1/27 scale, as they are very close to the Joy Toy figures that come with their 1/27 mechs. Thank you, Lar. Does anyone remember Black Star? Yes, HoloNet 1. I do remember Black Star. In fact, I saw a really dodgy, well, they're all dodgy, but those AI retellings of like, oh, imagine what this would be in live action. And Black Star, they did one, and it was actually quite cool, but it's AI, and you just kind of like, it's kind of gross at the same time. I'm still waiting for Inhumanoids to come out, aren't we all? In fact, yeah, I am. Since we're talking about Inhumanoids, every time you mention a brand, I'm just going to put a hat on that's got that. Black Star was He-Man before He-Man, yeah. Wish they'd make 1/18th M.A.S.K like they did in the 2000s, 2010s. Yes, W. We've got a couple of matte trackers, haven't we, in 1/18. But yeah, anyway. Inhumanoids. Oh, we've got the M.A.S.K back in the game. How many hats do I have, says Pass? Probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 30 odd, I would say. About 30 some. 30 in rotation, I will also add. 112 Inhumanoids. Gimme. I'll go broke for that. That would be crazy, Scott. Anyway, lore subjects, M.A.S.K, very interesting stuff. It looked like, again, from what we ascertain, it will be, the original scale, the original style, and hot and fresh, like 85 never left. Anyway, that is that. I'm sure I'll be talking about this with Pat on Saturday in way more detail. So let's do that then. Okay, next up, and it's Hasbro PulseCon updates. So let's get the Hasbro PulseCon information, because there's lots to get through here. Lots to get through. So we got more information. An email went round for those on the Hasbro kind of press list, or the Hasbro content creators list, or whatever they want to call it. We got an email that came round, and it says Hasbro PulseCon 2024 gives fans ultimate access to brand showcases, product reveals, audience engagement activities, and more on September 13th, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Signature event to spotlight Hasbro's iconic brands Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and G.I. Joe. That scares me, because I feel like that's going to be the order of operations. And that means G.I. Joe is going to be last, which means we're going to be waiting at like 4 o'clock for G.I. Joe, or 3 o'clock for G.I. Joe. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to save it till last. We have been lucky in the past where they used to do it first, and we'd do it first. And then I think what they found, and again, this is not like throwing shade or anything on other brands, but I think what was happening, certainly for me, I would watch the G.I. Joe segment, and then I'd do my reaction video to it. So like they'd still be actually doing the show and the whatever, and I'd be like, doing the thing. So I wonder if the G.I. Joe stuff's going to go last. Anyway, I wish it was first, because then I just feel like the stress and the weighting is out of the way at that point. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's what I get stressed from this stuff. Oh, it also adds plus premier collaboration brands Star Wars and Marvel from Disney Consumer Products, hosted by Jordan Hembrough with special guests. Now, the live stream will be exclusively on the Hasbro Pulse YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook channels for fans 16 plus in the US and Canada, and 18 plus in the UK, EU, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and Taiwan. Why? Can someone explain to me why there's an age difference in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world? Hasbro Pulse Premium members to receive exclusive pre-show content, which means early access to purchase event product exclusives and much more. So, of course, if you're a premium member, it pays to be a premium member, doesn't it? I think it does. Now, Hasbro, a leading toy and game company, announces an exciting programming lineup for Hasbro PulseCon 2024 through highly anticipated product showcases and reveals, as well as fan trivia, Q&As, and interactive polls based on Transformers, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and G.I. Joe, as well as Star Wars, Marvel, etc., etc. Reaching fans across the globe, including the US, Canada, UK, and the entire European Union, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and Taiwan, Hasbro PulseCon 2024 will be live streamed exclusively on Hasbro Pulse YouTube and we know 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Hasbro Pulse Premium members can enter an exclusive pre-show experience, which starts at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. So if you're a Pulse member, Premium member, you're going to be, it's 12 p.m. Eastern, really, where everything's going to be happening first. So we'll get brand sneak peeks, teasers for the main event, and we'll be treated to a Hasbro PulseCon exclusive product showcase as well, along with special products and a live Q&A session hosted by members of the Hasbro team. This year's virtual pop culture and fandom experience will be hosted by Jordan Hembrough and will feature special guests actress Emily Swallow, the Mandalorian, and popular YouTube creator Dan Larson of Secret Galaxy. Dan's back. During the 2-hour event, fans will get a first look at the new Transformers 1 Studio Series action figures, hear about new G.I. Joe Classified Series product reveals, get a sneak peek of a new Marvel Legends wave, view the latest Hasbro Star Wars products, and take part in the ongoing celebration of the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons, among other activities. It's a lot to kick off, isn't it, in a day? Additionally, over 35 products will be showcased, including 4 Hasbro 2024 convention exclusives. Of course, for us, it's old Eddie Skyler Starduster, isn't it? Yeah, so pre-orders will be available September 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern, but that's 4 p.m. for premium members. So at 4 p.m., which I'm sure will be moments following the end of the show, we'll be able to get in on, the Starduster figure. I am desperate. I know it's going to sound crazy, but I'm desperate for this Starduster figure. I do not want to be slouching on that one. I want to be making sure I get him big time. I hope they don't rush the G.I. Joe panel presentation like last year. So they've done that for SDCC, but PulseCon is different. It's like a set period of time, isn't it, really? But I feel like you're right. I feel like there was a rush on it because it was at the end as well, wasn't it? It was at the end of the show and they were kind of running out of time and went over a little bit, I want to say. But yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think you're absolutely spot on there, Soda. I think there was a little bit of a rush at the for the Joe section. Leon says Dan should host all of these. I'll take Jordan though, better than those influencer types. Yeah, okay. I mean, I've never had an issue with that. Honestly, I enjoy the show no matter what. Mainly because I'm just excited to see, what's coming for G.I. Joe, what have you. I'm not really that fussed about all the other guff and fluff around it. I mean, I'll watch it and I'll take it in, but I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, this is terrible," or angry or whatever. Did I have the original Starduster, John? I didn't, not when I was a kid, because we didn't have the mail away option, and we didn't have Action Star cereal. But, and I know he was made available as a mail away following that as well. It wasn't just the cereal, but we didn't have either of those options in the UK. I have since acquired a Starduster back in my kind of like back in the kind of deep 4-inch collecting days. But yeah, I have one, but not from when I was a kid. Yeah, Dan Larson's great. I love Dan, really good lad, and I see him quite often, which is nice. He's often popped into my place of work a number of times, and we've had nice little chats while he's been down there. No, he's a really cool guy. We've had him on the show, in actual fact. Dan Larson did a weekly with us, with myself and Pat one year, just random as hell. Dan, he messaged me on Twitter, I think, and said, if you ever want to talk G.I. Joe, do it, let's do it. And I was like, okay, do you want to come on the weekly? And he's like, yeah, sure. Crazy. We'll have to get him back on again. We'll have to get Dan back on again. That was a lot of fun last time. He's probably he's too big now. He's too big to appear on the full force. Anyway, I've got more stuff to talk about. So anniversary celebrations continue this year, with Hasbro celebrating the inaugural Transformers Day on September 17th to honor our iconic franchise. This month has marked significant milestones for the brand, including the launch of the first Transformers figure, the premiere of the Transformers 1984, and now with the highly anticipated theatrical release of the first ever fully CGI animated movie, Transformers 1, on September 20th. Additionally, previously announced products Transformers Studio Series Elita 1 and Bumblebee will be available for pre-order on Transformers Day, September 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern for everyone, or 12 p.m. It doesn't say 12 p.m. for premiums, so I don't know. To keep the fan engagement up, Hasbro has unveiled its brand panel coming to New York Comic Con on Friday, October 18th. During the presentation, fans can expect product updates from Transformers, G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters, as well as updates on products featuring the premier collaboration brands Star Wars and Marvel from Disney Consumer Products. Why do they have to keep saying it like that? But that's interesting. I didn't notice that bit there about New York Comic Con. So New York Comic Con, Friday, October 18th, they're going to be doing a presentation, Hasbro are, a brand panel, and G.I. Joe is going to be involved in that. So that's great. Even more stuff to be, I don't know, to be expecting to do pre-orders for, right? I'm missing a lot of comments because I've just been reading a lot. My apologies. Love me some Dan Larson, says Jeremy. Yes, my mouth is still scarred from the cereal, says Jedi Ben. Like my Joe code name, Crop Duster, says Scott. You just fart everywhere, do you? I used Guff and Fluff, indeed, Leon. Yeah, I used to have a Star Duster, but sold it as a broke college student with a newborn in 2008. Darren, that's crazy pants. I wonder how much of the Halo jumper they reuse for Hit and Run. That's, yeah, a good shout, actually. I really want a Hit and Run figure and Paladin. So bad. I like the amount of hands included with Star Duster. He's handsy. He's certainly handsy. UK was deprived of Action Star. So that was Paul that mentioned that. Sorry, Paul. Will says UK was deprived of Action Stars. No worry, Chris. The only good thing about that cereal was Star Duster. Yeah, but it was worth it. Scott. Oh, sorry. W saying, okay, yeah. Call signs are usually insults, W, aren't they? Absolutely. Oh, they're Cobra Commander's hands. They are, aren't they? Didn't even notice that. He's handsy and he's got Cobra Commander's pointy and yeah, he has. Weird. Once a hand. Genius, Will. Ghostbusters HasLab should be announced around then. Interesting. Think the Ghostbuster HasLab will be last HasLab? Do you mean the last HasLab ever or the last one for the year? Probably the last one for the year. Last NYCC, Emily announced Alpine during Super 7 panel. Jim, did she? Did she? I don't remember that at all. Was that NYCC? I didn't know they were at NYCC last year. I do not. She was there as a like a special guest, wasn't she? With Super 7. Was that NYCC? Crazy. But yeah, I think you're right. Disney got to have their separate shout out. They certainly do, don't they? Action Stars had the cutout cardboard battle stations on the backs of the boxes too. Oh, that would have been so dope. Loston says, Chris, this time of year for toy collectors is always a double-edged sword, and excitement laced with bank account doom. Always so many things to like, want, and try to pre-order. Absolutely. Oh, it was MCM London, wasn't it? Yes. I didn't think it was NYCC. I was going to say they haven't done NYCC in ever. Well, not for a long time anyway. Oh, it was NYCC, says I'm getting mixed information here. For some reason, I didn't know it was NYCC. Anyone else see that the 2-pack is shipping Thursday? What 2-pack, Scott? Falcon Quarrel? What 2-pack? Have I missed a 2-pack? Who's missed a 2-pack? Anyway, that is everything from Hasbro PulseCon, and a little cheeky addition for New York Comic Con, Friday, October 18th. A little bit of G.I. Joe in there as well, which is very cool. Paul says you're all wrong. It was MCYCCMCC. Correct. It was, Paul. That's the. I'm not even going to try and fill that out. Kitty said. Oh, Steel Brigade and Shadow Guard. Interesting. I didn't know. Didn't know it was shipping. That's crazy pants. Anyway, I think that's everything for, yeah. Okay, next up then is HasLab updates. So yes, it will be ending soon in like, quite sad, isn't it? So 8, 9, 10, 11, what, like 5 and a bit hours? I could just look at the website and see what it says, but I think it is about 5 and a bit hours. I'll give you the exact countdown. 5 hours, 16 minutes, and 28, 27, 26 seconds. Now, it is at currently, and this blows my mind because I didn't check it at all for the last couple of days, and it's shot up to 23,788. Yikes. I was somewhere in the region of about 22 to 24, so I think it's hit right in that sweet spot. That's where I think it's going to land. No pun intended. But my goodness, that's another successful HasLab, in my opinion, way beyond what I was expecting, honestly. I know I just said between 22 and 24 that my expectation will, I imagine it will probably creep over 24 by the end of the day. But that's crazy good. Another 24-ish K HasLab for G.I. Joe. They must love G.I. Joe at Hasbro now. Like, they must be like, yep, just do another HasLab. Pulling all that cash. Because they have absolutely smashed it again. And I will, like, it's funny because it's, if you were to not be paying attention to, if you didn't know the numbers and you hadn't been paying attention to the campaign, and all you had to go on was comments in YouTube channels or general consensus in forums, in groups, on Facebook, on socials, you'd think this was the worst HasLab ever made. You'd think this would be like one of those. It'd be like, oh yeah, this is where everyone gets off at this station, and it's like, I'm looking at this like that's the opposite of what's happened here. Yes, there have been some odd setbacks. I think, and I've said this many times, I was not a fan of the patches being a tier level. I think it was a poor decision, and I think it was something that probably won't do again. In that sense. Now, I think the only reason you've got less figures is because of the size of the vehicle, and I say that because look at the fucking size of it. Look at the absolute width and length on that bad boy, because it is dwarfing the Dragonfly, which is massive. And the HIS tank, which I'm looking at right now, which is also gigantic, by the way, it might as well be a dinky toy next to the Rattler. So that is why you're not getting an extra figure. Now, they shouldn't have done. I don't think they should have just done away with the tier altogether. I think, personally, and maybe just done the patches as a base offering, or at the end as like a hey, or an early bird, anything other than a tier, and I think it would have been fine. But yeah, I have to say, like I've seen a lot of, everyone seems to be just so angry with the patches, and I think it's more the case that they feel like they're missing out on a figure, and I get it. I do 100% get it. Of course I want more figures. Of course I want another like Ground Crew or Ramp Rat or another figure that makes sense with a Rattler. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely, I would love that. And And I think going forward, you're probably not going to see that again unless they do a vehicle of a similar size. If they do a Sky Striker, for example, it will probably be 3 figures. It just will be. But if they do something that is not as massive, but is still, a fairly substantial size, like a HISS tank, like a Dragonfly, you'll probably end up getting that extra figure again. So I don't see it as being one. I think a few people have said, are you concerned that this will be like going forward? This will be how HasLab deal with this, or Hasbro deal with this sort of thing. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's all different based on lots of other factors, and the Rattler threw in a bunch more variables that I think we'd even speculated this before it came out. We knew it was going to be a Rattler, but it wasn't confirmed. We didn't know what was going to be happening officially, but we knew it was a Rattler. We speculated that the size of a vehicle like this could minimize the tiers that you end up with. We didn't think it actually would, but it was mentioned. So I don't think it was like a crazy surprise, honestly. Graph says not big enough. They should have gone 1-to-1 scale. You mean like just get an A10 outside. 24,000 times 325 equals 7.8 mil, says Rachel. I know it's crazy when you run the numbers. The Joe and Ghostbusters teams know their fans and keep hitting dingers with their HasLabs. Easy funding hits every time. Again, you say that shelf presence, but if you were only paying attention to comments, Facebook, Twitter, you'd think this was the worst thing ever and it was never going to fund. At what point do they just start releasing RC planes and cars at this scale? I don't know, Pars, but that would be fun, wouldn't it? It's not a Dragonfly long, though, is it, Ryan, looking at that image? Or is it just the fact that it's set back? Because it looks to me like it absolutely dwarfs the Dragonfly's length. But it could be just the perspective we're looking at. I want Hasbro to do an old-style catalogue with those kinds of images right there. Totally. Funny you should say that, Leon, as well. Speaking of product imagery, there is a great video going around on their stories. We've shared it on our stories as well, so you can see it on Instagram and Facebook, I think. But you can click on stories and you can see a cool little video. If you just go to the G.I. Joe brand page on Instagram, actually, it's there, where they talk to Matt Shooting the Galaxy about the Rattler, dios and images and stuff like that. It's really fun. So check that out. Scott says 330 at 9,000 backers, where the Dragonfly was 300 at 10,000 backers. They probably could have done the same price backer, but oh well. They could, Scott, yeah, but at the same time, I think... hang on, was it 330? Why did I think it was more than that? Wasn't it 350? 324.99, isn't it? Sorry. Went mad for a second there. 325 at 9,000 versus 299 at 10,000, yeah. Again, it might be a live and learn moment. They might look at it and go, yeah, we could get away with doing it at a cheaper price point for more backers. We could probably, but then there's also there's this weird mathematical balance that has to happen sometimes for it to make sense. Plus, you've got to throw in the added element that people think I want to ignore, which I don't. That Hasbro is a corporation that is just after money at the end of the day. It wants to, it's got to make money. It has, and it has, there's an element of corporate greed in there. So there will be those aspects where they want that balance to be on the more positive side for them. I think the patches are an Easter egg to companion pieces to come for the Rattler. Snodrich, I think you might be right on that one. Paul says they should totally do a Z06 support team of ramp rats like the 788 fire team. I agree, Paul. If you get 3 vamps, you get 3 figures, so it feels like based in price that 3 is the average. That's a good way of putting it, I guess. So will a Mauler have 4 figures, says Will? I'd love a Mauler. I think a Mauler is one. I think everyone thinks the next year is going to be a Mauler already. Based on the foreshadowing of certain things and the patches and all that jazz. We've still got loads to talk about, by the way. My apologies, I'm really dragging this one out. But I think a Mauler would probably be, a lower price point and have probably an extra figure. With the Baroness unlocked, all the eye rolling that I had for the silly patches has melted away. I feel like we're getting a very square deal with this HasLab, and most fans realise this, says Loston. I need to find someone to split out a figure set from one or eBay when it drops, says Michael. I'm sure you'll find someone, mate, to do that. Leon says, I think they either ran into higher production costs than Dragonfly or a higher up changed the margin goals for the product and asked Lenny & Co. to shave. I mean, that's exactly what's happened. It's 100% what's happened. The tool's going to be massive. We don't even have the Dragonfly yet. My space is going to be wrecked. Yeah, well, we're not going to be saying this for a while, so don't you worry too much. Chris, if you can, would you mind asking about the decision to not support the Rattler with a promotional live stream like they did with the others? Sure. I will. It's probably going to be a case of just not having the time or the energy, not being able to get it done, being too busy, probably, I'd imagine. It's about the same length. I think the Dragonfly may actually be a 1/4 inch longer. I'll have to see about that. You can see the plastic quantity difference between that and the Dragonfly in that photo. Quality difference. Can you? Was also wondering about that. Hi, Chris. This line has been fun to watch, says Matt. I remember a time when the vehicles, other than small bikes, were not even on the cards, and now we're able to finish the 3rd successful HasLab. Whale time, says Matt. Yes, indeed. Jim says, just tagged you in the old post showing Alpine was NYCC. Thank you, Jim. Oh, you did to Jeremy, not to me. Cool. I aim to sell the patches for £325, says Leon. It does look much bigger than the Dragonfly. I'm gonna have to get the old dimensions for both of them. They do. There's an image, isn't there, that shows the size of the Efkin thing. So what's the length on it? 33.53 inches. What was the Dragonfly? Does anyone know? Oh, the Dragonfly is actually 1/2 an inch longer than the Rattler based on the dimensions provided. That's interesting. That perspective image is throwing me right off then. Stockholders and board of directors are a lot of mouths to feed, says Zed. Yes, unfortunately. It's being funded by extensive enterprises, says Figure Sixpack. It certainly is. To be fair, Hasbro has been arming both sides of the G.I. Joe Cobra War for over 40 years. It has, Jedi, yeah. I'd love a whale. Okay, anyway, I've missed a lot of comments. I apologize. They're coming in thick and fast. I can't keep up, but we do have to move on. And we've got some leaked images to get stuck into. Now, over the weekend, these popped up courtesy of, he forgets, but he does have the internet at hand. And it was Alejandro Cartagena, I suppose it would be pronounced. Alejandro Cartagena, perhaps, from Weibo. And we have the Iron Grenadier, we have Road Pig, who looks phenomenal, and we have Nemesis Immortal. Now, I wanted to talk about this because I think Nemesis Immortal's legs are a bit wider. They've spread him out a little bit. So I think if you were to pinch those legs together, he would actually be a little bit taller than Road Pig. But I'm surprised to see that. And that might be a perspective thing as well. Although you look at the lines in the ground, it looks pretty much in line, if not a little bit ahead. So it's like doing the offside trap in a Premier League match now with VAR. I've lost everyone in the American side there, haven't I? It's like the World Cup when they're checking for offsides and you got the two little lines to say offside or not. It looks like we're dealing with that right here. So I'm actually interested because I was under the impression, or it is a new body and a new buck, but it looks like they may have used a new buck for, well, it was a new, lots of new aspects for Nemesis Immortal. And I, as far as I understood it, he's taller than all of the figures. I do feel like he will be still, and this image is probably not actually, something's not happening here with my eyes, and I think it's a bit of a misnomer, misleading. But like I said, my God, the sculpt detail on both Road Pig and Nemesis Immortal is freaking insane. What's a World's Cup, says Graf. There you go. Yeah, but anyway, they look great, and the rest of the images, don't ask me what is happening. Don't ask me what is happening with Junkyard and Raucous and the vintage version of Road Pig. I'm not going to answer that question. These aren't my images, don't forget. But we've got some good detailed shots there on the back of Road Pig, including all of his I don't know, flesh lines. Gross. And also like all the different, he kind of looks a little bit in the image on the right like the dude from Mad Max Fury Road, doesn't he? You know, the old Chris Hemsworth job. Obviously not just Chris Hemsworth, but you know what I'm saying. I do like that. Road Pig's got no ass, says Todd. Yeah, it's flat in it, basically. I bet you that Nemesis Mortal is taller. Again, it's perspective and the wider stance tricking our eyes. I think it is. I genuinely think it is. Michael Bird, I love Major League Soccer. I almost had my Sporting KC hat because obviously Kate, you know, from that area, Kate, my fam, my in-laws, big Kansas City Chiefs fans, and therefore Sporting KC fans. So I've got a Sporting KC hat. I love MLS. I've always loved it. I went to see David Beckham's first ever game for the Galaxy as well when he came on as a sub. And I got to watch it on the Galaxy Stadium's amazing because at one end, at the top, it's like grass on an angle, and it's like you can just kind of lay down on a bit of like having a picnic or something. It's amazing, and I got to watch David Beckham's first game. Anyway, doesn't matter. Who's thicker between Road Pig and Nemi? I would probably say Road Pig. We need some good pics of Nemesis Immortal out of the box. We do, Peter. We do. World's strongest man bod, indeed, Richard. It really is. Beer drinking powerlifter, Will. Yes. That second image looks like Triumph the comic dog doing this thing. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Anyway, a few more images of the different heads you get as well, including that crazy weird pig-like face that he's got with the helmet. Nuts. Your family has true class in NFL teams. Thank you, Derek. Eat my goal. I love that. I love that Alan Partridge video where he's commentating on the World Cup just before, and it's goal. You've got to watch that. It's so funny if you haven't seen it. He swears in it a couple of times, and it's just absolutely hilarious. The goalkeeper's got football pie all over his shirt. He must have a foot like a traction engine. You probably don't know what I'm talking about. It's fine. Google it. And here's another shot here of the two next to each other. Look how much it dwarfs that vintage figure. It's crazy, isn't it? Brilliant. Raucous looks awesome too. I'm really happy we've got a little animal companion for the Dreadnoks. And then we have Frag Viper head. Now this was just from Weibo. I didn't have any. I think someone just sent this to me direct. I think it might be Darren sent this to me. Airborne's Custom sent this to me via Weibo direct, and Weibo. I don't know how to pronounce it. And it just shows the Frag Viper head on multiple bodies. We see it here looking quite large on Duke, but we see it looking quite normal sized on the Sarge. So there you go. Yes, you did. Thank you, Darren. You did send this to me. It is a bit Space Force Duke-ish, isn't it? It's really cool. I think it looks really dope, this head. I'm really excited to see the full figure. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite hench by the look of it. I don't know if they're going to use a massive body, but I could see them I could see them being a little bit stockier, whereas the previous 4-inch Frag Vipers were quite skinny. So yeah, that said, looks amazing. And this is a head sculpt, not a removable helmet. Okay, head sculpt, not a removable helmet. So very likely going to be a head sculpt. Yeah, and I think that's it for those. Then we get these. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to double check those skulls. Now they could be from a different toy line entirely. One of them could be on Road Pig, and I can't even remember if he comes with something like that. He does, doesn't he? I'm sure he comes with another like skull that goes on his shoulder. It's not shown in those images, but it might. I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, we've got what looks to be, I think, Footloose's web gear. I think we've seen that before in green. And then that little belt, which has got two little medic pouches on it. And a few people have kind of said, oh, could that be Lifeline? But I don't think it is. I think it might just be someone that, you know, like a lot of people are talking about the possibility of it being a 60th firefighter. We've even talked about this because of the kind of self-contained breathing apparatus that kind of leaked very recently, and showed it next to almost an identical version that they may have used for reference. You're just not really sure, on a firefighter. So you kind of wondering, well, we do have 60th sort of legacy listings. Maybe one could be that. Maybe a firefighter could have a little belt with some medic kind of, you know, with little medic patches on it. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Then, of course, if you go on the left-hand side, you've got that belt with what looks to be your handcuff loop, which a lot of people are saying is most likely Law and Order. And I'd have to agree on that one. I think that probably is a Law and Order situation. You got a little flashlight on there as well, torch, and you've got another little section there that maybe you can put a pistol or a another something else he may come with. Could slot in there. It's hard to tell. And we've also got some secondaries there as well that I imagine might go to Law as well, possibly. Maybe that one. I mean, the secondary, the thigh secondary, possibly would be for almost certainly would be for a pistol, and the one on the belt might be for something else. It was confirmed on His Tank forums that the legacy figure is a firefighter, says Jeffrey. Yeah, cool. Yeah. A firefighter that fights fires and arsonists. Yeah. A loop for a baton, possibly. Absolutely. Yeah, it could be the baton that goes in there, couldn't it? Or I don't know. It could be anything at this stage, really. It's all speculative. Any idea who the legs are on the left-hand side? Maybe it's all related. Cuffs go into the pouch, loop for baton. Thank you, Paul. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. So, oh, they're arms, are they? Retro Viper arms, Law's belt with flashlight handcuff pouch. Leg holsters could be anyone. Skulls, no clue. Green web gear, probably Footloose. Green belt, hoping it's Lifeline. That's nice. And yeah, those skulls are kind of cool though. Yeah, maybe the Predator is coming into this. But in any case, there you have it. More leaked items. Here's a close-up actually on some of those skulls, which are kind of like head sculpts actually, aren't they, almost? And like little pieces. Weird. Did Action Force Torch only come with a flashlight? Ryan, no, we didn't get Torch in the UK. The threesome for us was Buzzer, Ripper, and Monkey Wrench, believe it or not. So even though we got Torch on the VHS tapes, we didn't get the figure. And by the time 87 came around, Monkey Wrench were trying to push Monkey Wrench anyway. So like he became the next Dreadnought sort of thing. But we never got Torch, which is a sad shame. The skulls have got to be for a different line, and you're probably right on that one, Ryan. They do look like head sculpts, and the neck balls are larger than G.I. Joe. Indeed. They got Scorch. Imagine G.I. Joe never gets another movie. They just cross over with other brands, Transformers, Predator, Alien, Alf. Amazing. Manimals. Yeah, indeed. Anyway, that is all the leaks, I think. Yeah. So up to the listings now. And Starduster and Nemesis Immortal still floating around here. Obviously, Starduster will be green by the 13th, which is exciting. Nemesis Immortal, not a clue. Don't know if he's going to be there for PulseCon. Don't know if he's going to be... Just don't know. Could be 1027, could be something else completely. 2025. So it sounds like people think, or it's been leaked, that a firefighter is definitely coming for the 60th. We can't really, not wink wink. I can't really change the listings until we see or get a name only reveal, something official. Okay, so all I can say at this stage is that yeah, probably, and I've even forgotten which one it might be. I think it might be Tommy. Yeah, I think it is actually. So Tommy G0964 is most likely a firefighter. There you go. But I won't change it until it's official. What else? We've seen the listings go up as well, haven't we, very recently on Amazon for Xandar Saw Viper Leatherneck Dial Tone for that wave of 4. We've seen Heavy Duty, Law and Order. That 60th Tommy, that RR Tommy listing has gone up as well. And Cobra Viper, Dr. Mindbender, and Rock and Roll Retro figures. I think PulseCon could be a bit mental. I think it could be a little bit pre-order heavy, obviously. Now, it might be the case, and it would be nice actually if they don't do everything at once. It would be nice if they spread it out a bit. If we get a little bit for 1027 as well. Had to step away for a bit. Was the SDCC Bear Claw issue addressed? No. All I can say, what can I say, is we believe that the Bear Claw is related to one of the listings in the exclusives and miscellaneous. They are in red. That's all I can say. Yeah. Oh my god, it's 23,986 now, says Steps Toys. My goodness. Cobra Trooper with Claw is Cobra Pilot, says Airborne's Customs. Oh, right, okay, sure. I mean, does it matter? Does it matter? 10 items would be a lot. It would. It really would. But they've done it before. I remember once they've done 11, I think, at the most, I want to say. Which is kind of crazy. The text on the Amazon listings also says ramp up the action with exciting vehicles for land, sea, or air. On what listing? Or was that all the listings, 80s Toy Boy? Do you know what specifically on the legacy listing, the Tommy one? So there's been how many classified figures at this point? 130 plus, right? Oh my god, Loston, there's a question. Yes. Probably more than that now. If you count all the retro figures and all the non-numbered ones. Oh, all of them have that list on the listing. That's interesting, 80s Toy Boy. Interesting indeed. Well, I mean, it covers a lot of things, doesn't it? Let's have a look. So if it was Xandar Saw Viper Leatherneck Dial Tone, that's all land, basically, isn't it? Heavy Duty Air Support with his desk missile launcher. Law and Order's on the ground. Viper, Rock and Roll Minder. They're all ground, though. Maybe it's just generic. Might just be generic 80s Toy Boy. Also, thanks for being in the chat. And thank you for the comments. The text on the Amazon listing also says, ramp up the action with exciting vehicles. Oh, sorry. How did I miss that? Vehicles for land, sea, or air. My God, what could that be? I'm trying to think what we've got coming. I wonder if that's just generic and an accident. Daria, Tommy, Elmira. Well, Daria is heavy duty, so no. Well, maybe air support. Tommy is the legacy we've just discussed, so probably a firefighter. Elmira is rock and roll. It's weird for them to say that. It's probably just generic, and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I think it's generic. You just said generic as well, so I'm just going to say that's what it is. I would expect the first 4 standard pre-orders and a digital renders for retro card, possibly white. Yeah. Oh, I'm also going to say while we're here, I'm not going to be doing Let's Talk Classified Heavy Duty. I'm probably not going to be doing any of those before the end of the week because we're probably going to get all the information we need for those figures. We'll probably get them shown off, pre-order or digital renders. Either way, I don't have enough time now, unfortunately, to do those episodes. I'm sorry. I didn't really get that far into heavy duty in terms of the workload aspect. So we will pick it up after the next batch of name only reveals, if that's okay with you guys. My apologies. I did want to do one, of course. I wanted to go into the aspects and the history and everything, but I might work away. I might work around. I might come at it from a different angle. Closing in on 24K for the Rattler. We are, aren't we? Oh, the claw. That's a good shout. Yeah, the claw. Yeah, I forgot about the claw. Even though it's been mentioned like 100 times. But weird that they're talking about that. We have 181 total classified releases or official reveals. My goodness. Jedi Ben says, I'm in an Ollie's right now, and you should see how much new Overstock, Stewart's, and Marvel stuff they have in. And again, it's no wonder they plan to drop the license. Do they? Tommy is a Rugrats reference paired with Angelica. Yes, you're right, Steps Toys. You're right, but it's not what we're talking about necessarily. But yes, you're right. It is a Rugrats reference, Tommy and Angelica. So for the 60th or Legacy, it's going to be Rugrats related. For exclusives for Fanmazon and for Pulse SDCC and PulseCon, it's TT is the designation, which is the tick, is the theme. And Target is SP and Hudson is GG. So SP being South Park and GG being Gargoyles. BB is the designation given to standard deluxe figures. So figure pets and deluxe figures that you can get anywhere have the BB and probably Beavis and Butthead designation. And the Simpsons designations are the SS are for the retail waves of 4 figures. So that is how it's broken down. And the Retro AN is AN being Animaniacs, I think, is the retro line. Okay. I'm going to, should we bring it to a close there? Yeah, so these are the name only reveals that I'm probably not going to be able to get to at the end before we see actual figures. If a few of these do sneak by and we don't see them for whatever reason, I don't see that being the case, but if they do, then I'll continue my mission to make those videos. But I have a feeling that we'll see Heavy Duty, in which case it would just make no sense for me to do that video. And there'll be other ones in there as well that, you know, probably won't either. Generation Joe says, Chris, my collection Dreadnought series pitch got featured on the last episode of Toy Attic's YouTube channel. Did you catch it? I didn't, Generation Joe, but I'll have a look at that. That sounds really cool. Congratulations, by the way. 1 year they're going to be cheeky and use Transformers code names for Joe and vice versa. That'd be funny. Paul says, I still feel like Wave 1 of Classified was just a few months ago. I know. 4 years already. And we're going into 2025. That's nuts. That's nuts. I can't believe the amount of people watching this news burst right now. That's nuts, man. You have missed these news bursts, haven't you? Anyway, yeah, so there's your name onlys. And digital renders, there you go. Dial tone, Leatherneck, Saw Viper, Claw with Pilot, my apologies, Xandar, and Wild Weasel. Yeah. I don't even know why Wild Weasel's in there. We've seen the figure. I just threw it in there for lols. In any case, that's that. One last thing before I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the quick update on the HasLab. We are at 23,931. I think I could probably stretch out a little bit longer, Kitty said, until we hit 24K. I've done these videos now. The weekly was great because at the end of the weekly, we unlocked the Baroness, which was great. And at the end of this one, we could be breaking 24K, which is amazing. Yeah. Anyway, one last thing I want to mention before I go is that Assembly Required have announced that none other than the Word Burglar is going to be making an appearance. This is very close to home and very exciting. He may let's see what the blurb says, the blurb. And of course, Word Burglar has just released 2 more G.I. Joe tracks, related tracks, for on his Bandcamp, I should say. And The War in Wardrobe. So go check that out. I've got a link on our Facebook page and Twitter and all that kind of jazz. So go check out the link to that and download those tracks, because I mean, who doesn't want more G.I. Joe word burglar related music? Anyway, the blurb says on Codename Iowa's page, the rap viper himself, aka Word Burglar, is riding Gunner on a Rattler and flying south from the Great White North to be our special guest for Assembly Required 2024. This hip-hop artist with the patented nerdcore style has penned and performed tracks about everything from action figures to vinyl records, Transformers to Star Wars, and more, including his all G.I. Joe focused album, Welcome to Cobra Island. So get excited. We are working very hard to get out to AR this year. So if all goes to plan, we'll be there too. And I can't wait, genuinely. This is so cool. And again, like, hopefully, if he does go, you know, he might be performing. You never know. There might be he might do a little track here or there. Basically, the soundtrack for my Instagram, says Black Genghis. Indeed. Xandar Render has been revealed. Excuse me? Squeeze me? Says 80s Toy Boy. Are you talking to someone else in the chat there, dude? Or because Xandar's on the screen there. Look, there's his render. Did someone say that he hadn't been, or like it was the leak? I'm not sure, but yeah, it definitely has been revealed. Yeah, it's right there. Anyway, yeah, shout out to Word Burglar, amazing stuff. Shout out to Brian Sauer at AR, and shout out to everyone involved. Who knows, Rachel? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Monkey Wrench will come with the Swamp Fire, says Brian. That'd be cool. Right then, that is everything, I believe, on today's episode. It's been a lot, hasn't it? I'm just going to switch back to full face, Kitty said, and we'll finish the show out with a few more questions. I also want to say thank you to everyone that reached out with some very kind personal messages, with some lovely comments in the YouTube chat and everything. Really appreciate it. It was very nice and very kind of you to do so, you know, with what has been a pretty rough month or so in the McLeod household. But anyway, thank you very much. We very much appreciate it. It's always really, I don't know, just really heartwarming to get those kind of messages. So thank you very much. And it's good being back. It's good being back doing these bursts and all that jazz. So that's good. Now, we do have, I'm just going to get rid of that and that. We do have a little bit of time. If you guys had any more questions before we break 24K, 23,953. We're not far away. Chris, when will you be the Highlander? You're from the same clan, right? I am, Todd, and I'll have to cut someone's head off, but I'm very reluctant in doing so. It feels a little bit rough. I'll have to probably cut my dad's head off, which would be a bit harsh, wouldn't it? And then get the quickening. Yeah. 45 to 24K. Yeah. We're not far away, are we? 957 now. Graph says, oh, that's another thing I probably should have added to this episode. Do I think the picture for the Hiss driver figure for Mega is legit? I kind of do, actually. I don't see any reason for them not to be. Plus, they're showing up with Duke and Ace, so it wouldn't surprise me. And it feels right, because it feels like it could be a Matty Collections sort of fan vote thing bubbling with a Hiss driver, a Sky Striker, an Ace and Duke as a set, and then they'll probably put it out there, and we'll see how it goes, sort of thing. There might be more to come. Is Henry Cavill Highlander now? My goodness. I'd watch The Reluctant Highlander. Yeah, that would be my TV show, basically. Name a theme song better than Mask. Go, says Black Genghis. First of all, thank you for the super chat, Black Genghis. That's very kind of you. We just talked about one, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, and I sang some of it earlier on. But no, Mask is an absolute banger. I think Thundercats, though, it's just when I hear the Thundercats theme tune, it gets me so hype. Like the guitars and everything is it slaps, man. The Thundercats theme tune slaps. Ulysses, absolutely, Leon. Ulysses is a hardcore theme tune. I agree. But thank you very much, Black Angus, for the super chat, mate. That's very kind of you. There can be only one, indeed, Todd. They can, although there seems to be quite a few of us at the moment. What else we got? Gilligan's Island theme. That's not one I'm familiar with it, but not one that buzzes my berries, I must admit. G.I. Joe the movie has got one hell of a theme song. Darren, yeah, you're right. For me, it's the Action Force VHS theme. I love the Action Force VHS theme. They proper like synthesized it. Whereas the G.I. Joe theme is all very like jazzy and bouncy and and it's got that kind of like what do they call it on the drums? That sort of like that kind of swing is what they call it. Where it kind of just the drums just come in a little bit later, just offbeat a little bit, just kind of like, you know, to give it that kind of swing kind of feel. But the Action Force version is like it's like proper like synthed up to the nines, and I love it. Completely different vibe. Both theme tunes side by side. You're just like, what is the two different things entirely? Airwolf is a banger, Derek. Yes. Airwolf is an absolute banger. Galaxy Rangers is an underrated 180s toy, but I'm with you on that one. Galaxy Rangers, I used to love that. I was besotted with the Galaxy Rangers. So interesting to me. Brave Star's a good one. Bionic 6 says HoloNet 1, yeah. Tim says the Reluctant Highlander. There can be a few. It's cool. Doesn't have the same hit to it, does it? Got to get tough. People loving the G.I. Joe Deke intro, which blows my mind. Airwolf is a banger. Yeah. Favorite M.A.S.K vehicle, Jeremy, is probably Condor. I know it's a bit basic, but I just love Brad Turner and Condor. I always have done. Probably one of my favorite vehicles as a kid growing up. I just loved its versatility. It was really fun. It's just so cool. The colors as well, just brilliant. But probably Condor to be boring. Condor or Rhino. Rhino's pretty banging as well. You were right about Thundercats song, says Comic Book Bin. Thank you. I feel like the Thundercats theme tune is just I love it. Actually, do you know what I love the most out of the Thundercats in terms of the music? Panthro's theme. Go to Google and search Panthro's theme Thundercats. They've got the instrumental on there. I've actually done a cheeky beat using Panthro's theme, and it's an absolute banger. You may have heard it on one of the whenever I've used it on something recently. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Either way, yeah, that's an absolute beaut. And like I say, the Panthro theme is proper banging. Specifically the Joe movie instrumental closing credits. Steps Toys, you've got a point. The closing credits have me almost in tears watching the end of G.I. Joe the movie. There's something so like powerfully, impactfully emotional about that version of the theme music, instrumental at the end of that movie. It's just so good. Dum dum dum, bah, dum dum dum, bah. And then it just gets like the crescendo of that music is just unreal. When the hell is Wrath of Cobra releasing? You got me. I thought it was going to be like soon. I thought it was going to be soon, but who knows? I'm going to have to reach out again. Any themed song with Chitara running around wins. Agreed. Beverly Hillbillies theme, says Brian. Interesting. That is an actual banger. I will admit it's a fun one. The Macron 1 theme was pretty sweet. I don't think I know that, Jamie Lynn. I'm going to have to check that out. DuckTales, Tailspin, good shouts pass. Mr. Belvedere says, I can't even imagine that, but I have heard it. Leon with the tempo video intro, mate. Yes. Ding, wow, wow, wow. Yes, definitely. Next HasLab will be 100 patches with vehicle part unlock tiers. Chris, that's too much. Too much. Premium totally worth it, says Flaffle. Yeah, it kind of is now. Dragon Reborn says, yeah, Action Force for sure. I knew you'd go for Action Force VHS music, Dragon Reborn. You and I are on the same page with that one 100%. You know what I'm saying, though, don't you? That synthesized version is just, it's a different vibe, but it's like way more what I expect G.I. Joe and Action Force to be. Big band, says Tim, yeah. G.I. Joe cartoon movie Cobra remix. Transformers Season 1's a good one, Brian, you're right. Now I have Tailspin stuck in my head, says Black Genghis, not my fault. You're the one that started this. Saber Rider and the Star Sheriff, says HollowNet1. I have seen that, but like twice. Chris, do I have a digital copy of the Action Force theme? Yes, I have all of. In fact, we used to do watch-alongs for the Action Force VHS tapes ages ago, like early on in our video, kind of during COVID, actually. But yeah, I've got digital versions of every episode released on VHS for the UK. I got them digitized actually when I was in the UK. I had got all the videotapes that I could find, got them all digitized and put onto DVD, and then got them all in like MP3s or whatever, MP4s. Sorry. DuckTales is a banger. Not a theme, but Powerline crushed the Goofy movie. I don't know what that means. A HasLab Sky Striker could be our chance to get ketchup and mustard finally. Could be. A-Team theme is an absolute banger, isn't it? Absolute banger. Transformers the movie has a metal. I do love the movie music in Transformers is phenomenal. Dare is one of my favorites, especially that breakdown. The synth breakdown. I love a bit of synth breakdown for some reason, don't I? TMNT, yes, HollowNet1. That's like it's really good. It's really memorable. It's really catchy. Yeah, I don't know what point I was about to make. It doesn't hit in the same way that some of the others do, but it is fun. It is brilliant, and it is great. The A-Team is a cheat code theme song. It is. Superman movie wins, done, says Graf. Defenders of the Earth. Oh, another beauty, Leon. Yes. Cops, guys. Gem. Yes, you're right. Gem, Black Genghis, you win. Family Matters, says Pass. Again, I know it, but not as well as the other ones. Knight Rider's a banger. Are we just naming all of them? MASH. We're just naming all of them now, aren't we? Okay. Seems like everyone's first M.A.S.K vehicle was Condor. My first M.A.S.K vehicle actually was Switchblade. I think Switchblade and Thunderhawk. I think I got them at the same time. And then for Christmas, I remember getting Boulder Hill, and then I think I got Condor on like an excursion where it was, like a toy I could get because it was somewhat smaller and not as expensive. I remember going to Roy's of Wroxham and picking up Vampire with Floyd Malloy. That was a day. I loved that so much. That was a wicked bike, and he was so cool. That helmet with the hole in the top with his hair stuck out. It's just phenomenal. Kids Incorporated, vastly underappreciated. It sounds it. I'm not even sure. Again, I don't know it very well. Oh, Gummy Bears, Darth. Oh, I'll give you one that I'm not sure has been said yet, and you might not agree with me, but this song, I'm gonna say it now. This intro is probably the you can't not smile when it comes on, and I absolutely love it. Specifically, I think the second Alvin and the Chipmunks theme, where it's like proper, high pitched, do 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 do. But that is like there's one version of it. It might be one of the earlier ones. Honestly, it is so good musically, and just makes you so happy that it's playing. And I love it. Alvin and the Chipmunks theme tune is an absolute banger. Anyway, So many. I'm not going to get to all of them, even though you're trying. Okay, I'm going to throw another one out. Pole position. Oh, God. Eternity Forever. Pole position is an absolute banger. Heathcliff, says James. Yes. Captain Power, says Steps Toys. Not so much the song, but the badass intro, indeed. X-Men. The 90s theme, indeed. Well, okay. Has anyone said the 80s Hulk? Was it 80s Hulk or 90s Hulk? The one that's dun, 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. That is a banger. I love that one. We've broken 24k. I can go now. Phenomenal stuff. 2421. Well, so much for that. The worst HasLab ever has broken 24k. Amazing stuff. Anyway, I'm only, when I say the worst HasLab ever, it's a joke based on, you know, the general consensus it would appear online. But I think it's great. I'm very excited for the Rattler, and I'm going to leave you guys now. Thank you very much for joining me on this news burst, very busy news burst. We had HIYA Toys Beach Head. We had, Gargoyles is a good one as well. We had, thank you, HoloNet one. What else do we have? M.A.S.K joining the chat, reviving. M.A.S.K, Gem, Rom the Space Knight, My Buddy, My Pet Monster. Something else that I forgot. What did I forget? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Lots to come from loyal subjects, it would appear. And on top of that, we had, classified updates with the HasLab. We had updates with something else, PulseCon. And also, again, if you just for the summary, New York Comic Con on October the 18th is going to have a little bit of G.I. Joe in there as well, which is great. All right, then. Cool. I'm not staying for 25k. I've got to go and actually, do other things. Popples. Thank you, Scott. Popples was the other one. Inspector Gadget's a banging theme tune, Viper Scat. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, everyone's going to be... Ghostbusters, another one. Absolutely. Muppet Babies. Oh, God, there's too many. Anyway, all the themes are great. You've been great. Thank you so much for joining me on today's News Burst, guys. I will be back soon, probably with more news this week. And then, of course, we've got PulseCon, so it's going to be bonkers. I'll see you then, or whenever that may be, probably tomorrow, knowing what news has been like recently. Stay fresh, cheese bags, and as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, full force. Bye. That's it for this installment of the Full Force News Burst. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time, and as always, full force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @TheFullForce Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.